Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to your presentation skills class. We are in a process of making you the good presenters, from being the average ones to make you the experts of delivering the presentations in front of the audience. To begin with, today we are going to work on the verbal communication during the presentation. Remember, in the last lecture we have thoroughly discussed the non-verbal behavior during your presentation. Just to give you a quick recap of what we have done in our previous lecture, we have thoroughly discussed some of the non-verbal behaviors which are used during your presentation. To begin with, we actually focused on describing and elaborating bringing back, I just kind of gave you the background of that what communication is and what communication revolves around, and then we moved on to see that how there are communication is divided into different components, where verbal, non-verbal and paraverbal components are there, which work together to create one message for your audience or for your reader or for the listener. Then specifically working on the non-verbal communication or the non-verbal behavior, we discussed that how non-verbal behavior has got 65% of weightage of your total communication. Now the rest of 35 is your verbal communication, on which we are going to focus today, and we are going to see that how if you work on your verbal communication, now that I know that you must have tried watching yourself and observing yourself in front of the mirror, how you would have observed that how do you look to people and how do you sound to them. Now that you have worked on your non-verbal behavior through your facial expressions, we will see that what kind of words and what kind of a collection of words you are supposed to use while make your messages clear for your audience. So see, your verbal messages are something which are supposed to do with your words, the choice of words that you are using to communicate in front of the audience, and this is going to be our main focus for today's lecture. Going back to the slide, I was talking about how we have learned of different on working on the different non-verbal behavior or non-verbal communication things during our presentations. We discussed how to work on your first impressions and how to make your first impressions for the reader. We worked on how to develop the eye contact with the reader, with your audiences, then how to make use of smile for your reader so that you can look confident and welcoming while you actually begin your presentation or during the presentation, how you can involve their motivation and their interest towards your presentation. Then your gestures, your body movement, all of them, they are important. The way you move your hands, the way you move your arms, the way you move yourself, your body, the way you have done your hairdo, your eyes, your cheeks, your lips, everything, every single part of your personality is very important. Your dressing is important, as well as the way you look to the audience is also very important. Your proximity and your voice, talking about the how close you are supposed to go to your audience and how this roaming or moving around the room and mingling with your audience is going to be one useful and one beneficial thing for you while you talk about proximity. Then body language, your sincerity, how sincere you are, how confidently you mingle up with people before starting your presentation. Remember, you are going to be the first one who is going to be there on the venue before everyone comes in. You are going to welcome them in, and then you are going to see them off, and you are going to be the last one to leave the room. Then we also talked about how you can read your audiences through different angles and through different approaches, and how you can reach that level of working on your non-verbal behavior through your presentation. So this is what we have done in our lecture number 27. Today we are to begin with our lecture number 28, in which as I have already told you that we are going to work on our verbal communication, which is the 35% of your behavior out of 100. That one we have discussed in our previous lecture as well. So 35% of or attitude is verbal, is conveyed through our verbal messages. However, 65% is being conveyed through your non-verbal behavior. So to begin with, how verbal messages are being communicated and what verbal messages are exactly. So in other words, our verbal messages usually revolve around the words or words choice which we use to communicate our message to the audience. Now our words are dependent on paraphrasing. For example, you are telling your message to someone, or the next person is paraphrasing, or he or she is trying to rephrase what you are saying to make sure that whatever they have learnt is right. So verbal messages somewhat focus on your presentation skills in a way that if from the participants someone tries to give you any comment or they want to ask you any question, so what you can do is you can paraphrase what they have said as to clearly understand that what you want to or what you have understood and what they wanted to tell you. Second thing is reflecting the feeling. This another thing is a statement in a way that conveys understanding of the feeling that the listener has heard. So your feelings are very important while you convey your verbal messages. For example, you are standing on the stage and you are delivering the presentation in front of the audience. Now the audience's reflection of feelings through their non-verbal behavior as well as their verbal behavior is going to communicate. Now if you ask them that do you understand, some of them would say, or for example, if you are opening the platform or opening the forum for your presentation, you would say, do you know about communication skills? And some of the people from the audiences, they say yes, that is verbal communication, and some of them they nod their head. In other words, it means that they are conveying you that non-verbal behavior, that reflecting feeling which actually communicates their idea best to you. Then the third technique is summarizing, in which a statement of the main ideas and feelings are being conveyed to show understanding. Now you provide summary to your audiences as well as your audience reflect back to your summary. Sometimes they in other words, if there are any queries, you get to know of all these things during your question answer session, because during your question answer session you have that margin of talking to your audience, or maybe if the audiences are questioning you, or if they are passing their comments during the presentation, you try to summarize, or you try to rephrase, or you try to reflect your feelings towards them. Then questioning, sometimes you ask questions to gain information, to encourage the speaker to tell her story and to gain clarification. So sometimes if you are delivering your presentation, and during the presentation if any audience has any point to make, and if they have any point to be added in your presentation, they give that point and you add that point to your presentation. Or sometimes you question them that do you mean, or do you it really happened with you, or if they are telling any personal experience, you say is it related to your personal life. So these kind of questioning helps you understand that what the audience or what the listener has or what the speaker has to say. So these are some of the verbal messages techniques, using of the verbal messages techniques that can help you refine your presentations and to work well on your presentations. Now we are to discuss some tips to starting point to help you think about how you can improve your verbal communication skill, whether in planned or unplanned situations. So whether you are being asked to present on the stage on the right spot and you are being given time to prepare for the presentation. Now in any case, if you keep in mind some of these tips that I am going to discuss with you, you are going to sound good and you are going to best verbally communicate your message to your audience. Now the first thing that you can do is to make your verbal messages more effective and to make your verbal communication more good for your audience is to by reading more. Simply increase what you have read. Any business texts, novels, newspapers can improve your vocabulary, help you express ideas clearly, and eliminate weakness in your language. Now that you are reading more and more, you are trying to, number one, work on your vocabulary. Number two, you are working on expressing your ideas clearly. Number three, you are trying to, eliminate weaknesses from your verbal behavior. In other words, you are overall going to work on your language pattern, your collection of words, your collection or your choice of words that you are going to use to deliver your message in front of the audience. Now see, if you want to improve your verbal communication, the first thing that you can do is to improve your vocabulary or try to read out more from different sources. They can be novels, they can be magazines, you can even watch television, you can even, if you want to work on your English language proficiency skill, try to see the news or try to listen to the newscasters of English who come on the television screen, and then they tell you about different things. It will also help you refine your accent, as well as it will also give you the collection of words that you can use and that you can add in your dictionary. Now every new word that you learn from any source, try to make sure that you look up for the meaning of the word in the dictionary, because the things that you see you remember, and the things that you listen you forget sometimes. So to make it go deeper down into your memory, try to make sure that you keep your own dictionary and try to try to look at it from time to time, so that you can get to know that how to keep a record of the vocabulary that you are, or the vocabulary words, the new vocabulary words that you are learning every day from different resources by reading more. So the first technique how you can improve your verbal communication for your presentation is to read more. Now you can start doing it from today. I would prefer that you start reading novels, different modern novels that will give you how to actually what kind of the dialogues and what kind of word collections you can use during your presentation. They alert you and they confirm that you pick up those specific refined patterns of language which are acceptable in society. For example, you would learn that how to excuse someone during the presentation, how to address someone during the presentation. If something goes wrong, you are not going to panic, that how you are going to tackle with that situation, and so on and so forth. So if you have dragged, or if you have fallen your pen down on the floor during your presentation, you are not going to panic that pen gir gaya and how I am going to pick that up. Simply say, while communicating or while involving your participants towards your non-verbal behavior, try to talk to them simultaneously. So sometimes if you are forgetting something, don't again panic. You are not going to tell them, oh I forgot. You can, in other words, tell them that I don't remember it right now, or I can't recall it right now, but I can tell it to you later once we again meet or once we again talk. So these are some kind of sentences, some professional, or let's say those rules which you can keep in mind for making your verbal communication more effective. So the first thing, read more and more so that you can gather as much information as you can and try to see that how you can communicate to people during your presentations. Now think about the words. Now that you are reading more and more and you are gathering a lot of vocabulary for yourself, try to see that what kind of words you are supposed to use during your presentations. Too many words will bore your listener. Now see, too many words will bore your listener, take up too much time and result in your you're losing credibility. So you won't be credible, or you won't be important, or you won't be worthy for your audience if you are going to use too many words with to bore your listener. There is no need to waffle. Remember not to use words that people don't understand. They may not even tell you that they don't understand what you are saying, as you may appear intimidating and make them feel inferior. So you're thinking about the words, like the kind of the words that you are using. Your presentation should be simple and should be understandable, right? Now that you have gathered a lot of vocabulary by reading different resources for your presentation, now during your presentation, try to work on your words. Try to use those words which are easily understandable by different people. Now there are not all the people who are sitting from or who are coming from the same background. You are going to focus on using as simple language as you can that is understandable by the majority of people. Now if you use very hi-fi language or very difficult words which are not understandable by different people, this is going to create problems for your audience. They are going to somewhat lose their interest in your presentation, and sometimes they would look or they would feel inferior, and they would be intimidated because they would feel that you are trying to prove that you know everything and they don't know nothing. They don't know anything. So this is a very wrong practice while you actually prepare yourself for the presentations. Try to use those words which are easy and understandable by everyone, which are clear, which are simple, which are easy to understand. Now another thing if you can do is to prepare. Now to make your verbal communication more powerful, first you have gathered a lot of vocabulary by reading more and more plays, newspapers, by watching TV, by reading the novels, which can enhance your vocabulary. And then you are going to work on the choice of words. Try to learn different synonyms and easy words for the different obscure words. Then prepare yourself. Prepare yourself for what? You would spend time planning what you would say if you were writing. Think how to make it accessible to as many audience as possible. So you are going to look for those ways in which you are going to make your message accessible to as many audience as possible. Prepare for that beforehand. Use approaching situations where you can approach the logic of or the understanding of everyone. So you are going to approach to the understanding of every individual sitting in your presentation. Take time out to think about the questions you may be asked. Now you are going to think of those questions that you can be asked coming from different audiences sitting during your presentation. Try to answer them into the simple language also. Try to prepare yourself for those questions which you feel can come from the audience, and try to have or try to already prepare their answers beforehand in the simple and clear language. Now you are also going to see that how and what kind of answers you may need to give them, give your audience. Now if you have decided on what kind of the answers you can give to your audience, you can well work on to deliver your verbal communication well. Be prepared for the awkward questions. Sometimes the audiences, they try to make fun of you, and sometimes they try to confuse you by asking the awkward or irrelevant questions and situations where you may need to explain something in a very different way. So there are some audiences who are somewhat not satisfied with what you have told them. They come up with some very different or very awkward questions, and since you are the presenter, this is your duty to satisfy their needs and to satisfy their queries. So you are going to make sure that you are not going to digress and you are not going to snub them. Try to be nice, try to smile, and try to answer them nicely. So be prepared for every situation you are to face, because you are the presenter and the forum is yours. So try to work on your verbal communication. Don't try to snub them. Tell them that sorry, if you are unable to hear anyone, don't say that I can't hear you directly. Tell them that sorry, I couldn't hear you, or I couldn't hear you properly. Please can you tell me again, or can you ask me the question again, or can you repeat your question again? So being nice and humble and being courteous is one another rule to remember while you try to work on your verbal communication. So try to make sure that you show your sincerity and your courtesy through your language. Listen and be interested. This is number 4 thing that you are supposed to do while working on your verbal communication during your presentations. Listening more and talking less means you will understand and bring your listener into the conversation. Now that if your listener is talking, if your audience is talking and you are listening, it means that you are more interested in what they have to say. This helps them to trust you and make them feel that you really understand their needs. Now they would automatically understand that if you are listening to anyone's query carefully, they would get to know that or they would get this impression that you are interested in their what they have to tell you or what they have to comment about your presentation. When they talk, be interested and show your interest also, maybe through your verbal behavior or maybe through non-verbal behavior. Better yet, use your verbal behavior so that they get to know that you understand everything that they are saying. This will improve the rapport you are trying to build. So you are actually working on your rapport amongst your audiences through your verbal communication. Using notes, note-taking skills like mind map can help you to make more effective and memorable notes. So sometimes if you are listening to different people's advices after the presentation or during the presentation, try to note their points down on the sheet of paper so that or try to make mind maps related to your presentation so that they can get to know that you are interested in their comments about your presentation, and then later they are also going to be beneficial for you to work further for your next upcoming presentations. While you are working on your verbal communication behavior, since your verbal communication and your non-verbal communication, they go hand in hand and they cannot be separated from one another. They are united, and both of them they go in one situation. So be aware of your non-verbal communication traps. The impact of the words you say is only a very small element of communication you are giving, because I have told you earlier in the lecture that 35% of your behavior is verbal, however 65% of your behavior is non-verbal. You should make sure that your words, their tone, now see, your words, their tone, the gestures you make, your facial expressions and your body language you use are relevant to your conversation. So your words should be supported by your physical actions, or your physical actions or non-verbal behavior should support your words. There should not be any distance between them, or they should not look poles apart. Both of them, they should go hand in hand as to make sure that you are aware of all your non-verbal behavior while you are trying to provide your message or your verbal communication to the audience. In other words, since your non-verbal behavior carries more weightage than your verbal communication, so whatever you are saying should be in contrast and in comparison with your non-verbal behavior. So if you are telling them the process of anything, try to make maximum use of your hands and your non-verbal behavior so that they can get to know that what exactly you are referring to and how you can make your verbal communication stronger. So talking about your non-verbal messages, account of about 65% of what is perceived and understood by the others is your non-verbal messages. So you are going to first work on your non-verbal messages, and then you are going to mingle them with your verbal communication. All of your messages are conveyed through our facial expressions as well as our postures and gestures. So non-verbal behavior is more important than your verbal behavior. First work on your non-verbal behavior, as I have already told you in the previous lecture that how you can focus on your first impressions, on your hands, on your eyes, eye contact, how you can create and produce one powerful smile, how you can read the faces of your audience, and so on and so forth. So there are so many things that you can listen to and that you can work on to make your presentations look better. Now the sixth point to remember is that honesty is the best policy. To do so, promising something that is not possible will break down any trust that you have developed. So do not promise for anything during the presentation. Telling someone that you don't know is much better than telling them any wrong concept or defining anything that you don't know of in a wrong way. So try to tell them and try to sound enough honest while you are commenting on or while you are delivering your presentation. Show and seek some understanding. Look for understanding from your audience, that how much they are understanding your view of point through your words, through your vocabulary, through your content. How much do they understand? It is easier to backtrack at certain points in your conversation than resist the whole conversation again, or you risk getting the wrong results because your audience did not understand. So try to show and seek their understanding by sometimes asking them questions through your verbal communication, by sometimes inviting their participation, by sometimes asking them to summarize that thing that you have elaborated in one slide for you, by sometimes paraphrasing things for them, and so on. You can use this when delivering or receiving a message. So this is what you can use while delivering or receiving the message. Occasional summaries and confirmation questions can be extremely useful, as I have told you and I have briefed you about the 4 major techniques of using verbal communication in your presentations. Now 8 point says that think about perspectives. Think about what you are saying from others' perspective. So try to see that how other people have to think about your presentation, and whatever you are saying, how other people are supposed to comment on that. Just because you understand what you mean, it doesn't mean that they will also. So whatever you are trying to communicate to your audience, try to make sure that you are elaborating, or you are trying to elaborate that from different aspects or from different angles. It is going to be helpful for you to make sure that they understand it from every point of view, because if they understand it from one perspective, you are supposed to elaborate the other perspective too. Try to see that if you are trying to convey your point of view from your own perspective, try to see that how take one example of any person and try to see that how others think about the same thing or the same topic that you are presenting, and try to elaborate them from the two perspective each. The ninth step that you are supposed to take to improve your or to work on your verbal communication is to develop your skills. There are a number of techniques you can learn to help improve your verbal communication skills. Now verbal communication skills are to do with your words, with your vocals, etc. These include the skills to develop plans you can use to formulate responses, whether planned or impromptu. Learn the techniques you need to be more effective during the interactions. Mind mapping will help you to take and make notes. It will also help you to do a lot of more during your business day. So you are going to work on your skills, work on those skills, work on those verbal communication skills which you feel can be the part of your presentation. Try to think of more aspects which can come there during once you are trying to communicate with your audience properly. Try to see that how your verbal communication is being is linked with your non-verbal one, and how you are going to go on with your presentation by using the maximum use of verbal communication adjoined with your non-verbal communication. Now to work on with it, how to make or how to create effective presentations which focus basically on the verbal messages or verbal communication. First of all, focus on the purpose. Now if you are going to focus on the purpose, this is going to help you develop your verbal communication strongly, because you are going to learn or you are going to practice according to that. Focus on the audience. To make a good presentation, you are supposed to also focus on the audience. Satisfy document requirements, document style, visuals, and document dates. Everything that is required should be there. Get to the point and be concise. As I've already told you that you are supposed to sound concise, short, clear. Provide accurate information that is based on the research. Do a proper research of the material that you are going to verbally communicate to your audience. Express yourself clearly. Now that you are talking to people and you are verbally communicating with them, try to see that grammar, your check on your grammar or the structure of the grammar that you are using. Format your slides carefully, be neat and leave white space for the comments of others. Manage your time efficiently. So this time management is really very important when you talk about verbal communication during your presentations. Now the second thing that we are coming up with while we are trying to make you perfect verbal communication specialist, let's see what are the 7 C's of communication which can be there or which are exactly there once you are standing on the stage and deciding on that how to deliver your presentation in front of the audience. So if you see on the slide, there are 7 C's of communication which are supposed to be followed while you are working on your verbal communication skills. These are very important and try to keep them in mind for your exam also, because whatever references or whatever sources you are picking up for communicating effectively or communicating with your audiences during your presentation, you would find that these 7 C's of communication are really important. This is how I found out that I should share these 7 C's of communication with you also. So to begin with, the first C stands for the communicating your audience. Your message should be complete and your that should be complete in itself, and we are also going to discuss some of the examples for that also. Then that should be concise. Now this conciseness or this shortness is very important. The consideration that how you can consider or how you can consider your audience while you are presenting on the stage. The clarity, your ideas or your messages or your information should be clear enough for everyone to understand. Then concreteness, that how you can make your message concrete, how you can make your verbal communication concrete for your audience. Courtesy, how you can enhance or how you can deliver your presentation through courteous in a courteous manner. Or the correctness, that your grammatically or talking in terms of using the grammar and standard language, your presentation is correct. So we are going to discuss all these 7 C's of communication during your verbal communication one by one, and let's see that how you can actually make choice of words to make your presentation look perfect while you are making use of the verbal communication. And let's read them out one by one, which are the 7 C's of communication. To begin with, let's start with the completeness. Answer all questions that are asked. Give something extra when desirable, and check for 5 W's and 1 H. Now check for all the questions that are asked. As I told you that you are going to look at your presentation from different perspectives. Now you are going to see that what kind of questions that can be asked from you, so that you can design or you can convey your message accordingly beforehand. So this is how you can make your message complete. Now if you don't know that how to make your message complete for your audience, since during your rehearsal try to visit these 5 W's and 1 H, try to see who is involved and who is your audience, what is the information that you are going to provide them, when are you supposed to deliver the presentation, where would be the presentation be delivered, why are you going to deliver this presentation, and how you are going to bring an end to your presentation by achieving the objective, the main objective or the aim of your presentation. So relating to presentation, I have designed or I have told you all these questions. Now these 5 W's and 1 H can be asked or can be addressed in every situation where you are sitting. Now giving you an example of how you can use this element of completeness in everyday life or maybe in your presentations. If you are to give an order for the pizza, Now how would you do that? Keeping in mind the 5 W's and 1 H. Now let's see that if you are going to talk to anyone to deliver this pizza at your home, so you are going to tell them first of all that who are you. Okay, I say that I am Anila Noshin talking from, what do you want? I want a pizza. Now I want a pizza at so and so place. Now I am going to keep in mind that I am going to tell them my address properly so that the pizza can reach me. When do I need it? I need it in 2 hours. Because I am feeling very hungry. Okay, where do you need it? You are going to tell them the exact address. Alright, address would come here. Let's erase that address thing from there so that you don't have any confusion that what exactly and how exactly you are supposed to answer each W on your own. Okay. Why do you need it? Because why do you need that in 2 hours? Because you are feeling very hungry. Now you don't have to answer the salesperson sitting on the other end. This is what you are supposed to answer yourself. And how do you want it to be delivered? Now this is your main objective, and you are going to tell them that how quickly you want them to deliver it and how should your pizza look like. Now that carries that what pizza type that should be, cheese pizza, vegetarian, or spicy one, or with the thick crust or the thin crust or anything like that. So this is how you are going to order for the pizza, keeping in mind all the 5 W's and 1 H. Same goes with every situation. You are going to, once coming to the practical situations, you are going to answer all of these 5s and all of these 5 W's and 1 H thoroughly to yourself to make it understandable by to make it sure that you understand what your audience requirements are. Now if you see an exercise other than that the one I have solved for you, you are the president of an industry association and have received the following inquiry from an out-of-town member, right? Now see that how you are going to make use of 5 W's and 1 H. Alright, now the person is asking, I think I would like to attend my first meeting of the association even though I am not acquainted with your city. Will you please tell me where the next meeting is being held? Okay, so you are supposed to answer this query or reply to this letter, keeping in mind the completeness of the message. So you might get these kind of questions in your exam as well. So stick to 5 W's and 1 H. Tell them that who you are clearly. Tell them that where are they supposed to come and why are they supposed to come and how they can come. Then what exactly whatever they have asked, that what you are supposed to answer, and then last but not the least you are going to answer when. So this is how your 5 W's and 1 H would be complete while you are trying to satisfy the query of this very person who has written you the letter along. So he is not acquainted or he does not know where, he is not familiar with the city, so you are going to tell them that who you are, where he is supposed to come. You are going to, keeping in mind all the 5 W's and 1 H, you are going to supposed to answer him. Now read this slide again and try to answer it on your own, because I know that you really want to work on your verbal communication by practicing these kind of exercises. Now moving on to the conciseness, that how you can make your verbal communication messages concise. Eliminate wordy expressions. Now what are these wordy expressions? Which carries or which only lengthen or which only give extra words to your conversation. Include only relevant statement. Be focused, shorten and avoid long explanations, and avoid gushing politeness. So this is how you can make your statements relevant. Avoid unnecessary repetitions, use short forms the second time, and use pronouns. Now you are not going to repeat these acronyms or abbreviations, let's say. Now that if I write in my first line, I write ComSats Institute of Information Technology, I would write it within the parentheses like CIIT. This is going to, I am going to stick to this CIIT throughout for my upcoming slides, because I don't want to elaborate the details, or I don't want to make in the unnecessary repetitions. Now to solve this exercise at how you can work on the conciseness, there are some single word substitutes for these long phrases. As you can see that with regard to can be replaced with about, despite the fact that can be replaced with although, at the present time can be replaced with now, and is of an opinion that can be replaced with one word think, in the first place can be replaced with one word first, and at the rapid rate can be replaced with one word fast. So this is how you can replace the longer phrases with the single words to make your verbal communication sound concise and clear. Now consideration, how you can consider this consideration approach can be used to make your verbal messages sound good. Now focus on the you approach. Now, as I told you earlier that you are not important, the one who is standing on the stage. Rather, your audience is more important, the ones who are sitting and listening to you. You are not going to tell them that I have come here to tell about this thing. Tell them that this topic has been especially designed for you to see that how you can benefit from this presentation. So try to involve them into the presentations, because they have come to see that what is there for them, how your presentation is going to help them, and how they can benefit from your presentation. So this is how you are going to use this you approach. Remember this you approach so that you can involve them into the situation. Show your benefit and interest. So you are going to tell them that how your presentation is going to benefit them, as well as you are going to also tell them that how this presentation is going to interest them. Emphasize on pleasant and positive. So you are going to highlight those things which are positive and pleasant, and apply integrity and ethics. So you are going to consider, or you are going to give respect to your audience, because they are your guests. So treat them as a guests, and stay on the stage while welcoming them, and then see them off while they go out from your room. Write with you attitude. It shows consideration. For example, I want to send my congratulations for. Now your congratulation is not very important for them. Basically they are interested in that how you are going to congratulate them for anything extraordinary that they have done. So you would say that you are congratulated, or congratulations to you on securing so and so good marks. So instead of writing we will ship soon the goods for your order, so we would say otherwise that your order will be ordered, goods will be shipped soon. So you is important, then we and I. Cross them out. We pay 8% interest on. Now cross out this we and try to see that how you are going to rewrite, or how you are going to verbally communicate this sentence to your audience. How? Yes, you are right. You will get 8% interest on. So this is how you can make your messages look, or this is how you can look for consideration while conveying your messages to your audiences. Now next thing is concreteness. Use specific facts and figures. Put action into words. Use vivid image building words by comparison in figurative language, and use more adjectives and adverbs. So in other words, you are going to focus on the active voice while you want to make your ideas concrete. Another thing is clarity. For making your ideas clear for the audience, choose short, familiar and conversational words. Construct effective sentences and paragraphs. Achieve appropriate readability by using formal and informal language. Include examples, illustrations and visual aids that are relevant. So for using simple words like these are some obscure words which are not understandable by everyone. So don't make your audience feel inferior because to give them an impression that you know everything and they don't know anything. Don't do that. You are supposed to use simple words instead of these difficult words. Subsequent can be replaced by later. Accede can be replaced by agree. Endeavor can be replaced by try. Supersede can be replaced by replace. And disclose can be replaced by show. So this is how you can use simple words which are understandable by the majority of people during your presentations, as to make sure that each of your audience is understanding what you are saying. Your courtesy is very important once you are working on making your verbal communication messages useful and powerful. Be sincere, tactful, thoughtful and appreciative. Omit expressions that hurt, irritate or insult. So you are not going to, through your verbal as well as your non-verbal behavior, you are not going to insult, hurt or irritate anyone, or you are going to grant apologies graciously, like saying please say sorry, I couldn't hear you, excuse me, I couldn't hear you, and stuff like that. So this is how you can make your presentations verbally communicated with courtesy. Now show courtesy by avoiding tactless and blunt language. Now see, your letter is not clear at all. Now just to give you an example, it is negative versus it is not positive. Which one appeals to you? The first one or the second one? Yes, the second one. Why? Because this is written with courtesy. You are not directly or bluntly telling them that it is negative. You are trying to, you know, from other angle you are trying to tell them that it is not positive. So try to sound humble and try to, you know, reduce the tactless and blunt language from your verbal communication that you are using. Your letter is not clear at all can be replaced by any other option. That one you are going to do on your own. Obviously, if you would read your policy carefully, you would be able to answer these questions yourself. Instead of saying that, you can be courteous and you can be kind and tell them that I would appreciate if you reread your policy again, and if there are still any queries, you can contact me on so and so phone number. So this is how you can deliver your expression, or you deliver your message through your verbal communication nicely. The gender friendly substitutes, try to use the gender friendly substitutes for such words which create the gender bias. Like for example, the best man for the job, instead of writing man, you can use the best person for the job, or try to, you know, use those words in your language which are which do not carry any gender biases. So once you are verbally communicating, try to prepare yourself for all these things that I am sharing with you, because these 7 C's of communication are very important once you try to focus on, once you want to focus on your verbal communication. Then manpower can be replaced by human power. Then salesman can be replaced with salesperson. And chairman can be replaced by a chairperson. So this is how you are going to not mention these man things in your sentences. You are going to replace them with the those specific gender friendly substitutes which are for females as well as males also. So don't try to, you know, stereotype things. Try to use these gender friendly words. So instead of saying hello guys, I am here to tell you about this. Now this guy has to focus on only boys sitting in the, or only boys sitting as an audience of your presentation. Try to focus on, or try to say that hello ladies and gentlemen today, or hello everyone would be the very nice substitute for using your verbal communication appropriately. Now next example is that you guys should all be concerned about the issue. Now instead of this guys, what would be here? You people. Each manager has, now manager is a gender free word. Each manager has an assigned place where he should park his car. Now this can be replaced by these kind of words, can be replaced by the plurals. They can park their cars. So this is how you can replace these gender biased words with gender free words. Correctness, the next thing, use the right level of the language. Your language should be correct grammatically, as well as accuracy of facts, figures and words should be there. Maintain acceptable writing mechanics. Choose non-discriminatory language, as I have told you already, and use parallel language that goes hand in hand with each other. The next thing that you are supposed to remember, the next thing that we are going to work on is the effective verbal communication, how you can make your verbal communication effective. Other than we have worked on that how to actually you make use of these 7 C's of communication to verbally or to make your verbal communication stronger. To begin with, first thing that you are supposed to keep in mind to make your verbal communication effective is to know your audience. Now, if you know your audience well, in this way you can communicate with them better. So, you need to listen first. Now, listen to, try to mingle with them, try to listen to them, that why they have come to see you and why they have come to listen to your conversation and why they have come to listen to your presentation. If you are talking to a small group of people in an informal discussion, listening to what other people are saying or not saying is your best tool. So try to see that what people have to say and what people try to, in other words, try to do this need analysis of any small group or any large group to whom or in front of whom you are delivering your presentation. According to that, you can pick up what language or what medium of instruction you are supposed to choose for your delivery of the message. Now see, if before the presentation you know your audience, that they are coming from so and so background, they are, for example, if let's say your audience is coming from somewhere abroad or they are coming from some northern areas, you must make sure that what kind of the background they would be coming in and what kind of the language that you have to use for them to make your message understandable and clear for them. Now for that, do your homework. Whatever audience type you come across with, you know your audience first, and then accordingly you are going to do your homework. What are their burning questions? So whatever background they are coming from, with what type of questions they can ask from you, so that you can prepare your answers accordingly, so that you are not going to get embarrassed in front of them, as well as you are not going to insult or hurt anyone during the presentation. What is their knowledge to the subject that you are going to talk about? So try to know about the knowledge of the subject that you are going to talk about. Only in this way you can get to know that what information you are supposed to present in your presentation, as well as how you are going to verbally communicate it for your audience. Do they have an opinion in any direction, and is there any passion? So try to see that are they passionate to learn about your topic, or are what is their opinion about your topic. So in other words, you are going to do this need analysis of your audience first of all, to see that how you can work on your presentation well. First that you know your audience, the second thing that you are supposed to do is to know your topic. This might sound like an obvious statement. Of course you know your topic, but sometimes people are so confused during the presentation that they divert their attention from the topic and they start talking about their personal life stories, and they waste a lot of time, and they lose a lot of interest of the people. Of course sticking to the topic sounds obvious, but you would be surprised if you know how many unprepared performances or presentations that are held every minute. So even though you know of your topic, sometimes once you stand on the stage and once you are in a position to deliver your topic in front of the audience, all the words are gone. You are blank. So it happens in every situation that you see so much prepared students or so much prepared presenters standing blank on the stage. Why? Because they have forgotten everything what they know about their topic. So your topic is more important than your confidence. Your confidence is built on your topic. If you know about, or if you have the thorough if you have done the thorough reading about your topic, and if you know a lot about your topic, that is going to be beneficial for you to comment on that easily. Read, read, Google, and listen to others. Only in this way you can create one good presentation. Again, do your homework. Try to do your homework that is related to your topic, and then compose your sentences accordingly. What are your feelings about the certain issue or the certain topic that you are trying to elaborate in front of the audience? First, share your personal feelings and why have you selected that topic for your presentation. List all the potential questions to your topic, keeping in mind the two perspectives of the presentation, you and your audience. Try to see that what kind of questions you can receive from your audiences and how you are supposed to encounter them, as well as also see that why try to answer each and every question that you feel can come in your mind as well as can come in the mind of your audience. This is probably one of the most important tips for effective verbal communication. So knowing your audience as well as knowing your topic, the two major things are supposed to be remembered when you want to talk about your verbal communication, for the effective verbal communication during your presentations. Now the third thing or the third tip for the effective verbal communication during your presentation is to plan your presentation. Now for planning your presentation, you are going to make sure that you make up a storyboard or make a mind map. Now that mind map in your mind is going to help you see that how you are going to involve your audience into the situation. Try to be creative and lay out all the threads to your topic that you can possibly think of. So to do so, you are going to work on question number 1, that says what background material do you have for the topic. So you are going to gather the background information, background material. So try to gather as much information as you can related to your topic. Then you are going to see that is there a particular angle that you like, so you are going to work on the particular angle of your presentation. Then what material or knowledge do you lack, so you are going to gather a lot of information for your topic. Try to make mind maps and try to make the storyboard that can be kept as your backup plan, so that because your presentation won't carry a lot of text on it, you are supposed to elaborate your point of view through your words. That is your verbal communication. So this knowledge background or this mind map has to stay in your mind, or maybe you can take along the rough sheets of paper along with you, so that you have the backup plan in front in form of the small slips, the paper slips. Now if you go on the print option of your computer, you would find different styles of taking the presentation prints, like in the form of the handouts. 6 slides per page is the best idea, so that you can cut them, or you can ask your friend, or you can ask your anyone who is available to cut them down for you, and you put them or you keep them in your hands to keep the track of whatever you are talking from the slide. So this is how you can plan your presentation. Now the biggest reason for not having effective verbal communication is that people say too much. Now people have to say too much and during the presentations, and they don't have that much time. Now this is one basic drawback of not working well through your verbal behavior during the presentation. They have so many things in mind. Now they have so many things that they want to get across. Now in the limited time period, they want to tell so much to the audience, and they have got a lot of information to be shared. Your biggest challenge is to now to cut down the material to the minimum. Now this is what you are supposed to do, not in terms of, or not only in terms of writing it down on the slide, but also choosing those 7 C's of communication accordingly to make your sentences crisp down, and then you are going to deliver your presentation in front of the audience in the minimum time as you can. If you will do a PowerPoint presentation, a good ground rule is to have 1 slide per 2 to 5 minutes. So make sure that you are not going to exceed from 5 minutes per slide, because that is going to get or make your audience bored of your topic, and they won't be interested in listening to your topic anymore. When you are passionate about something, you build up knowledge and you don't want to miss anything important. So your passion doesn't allow you to leave anything incomplete or to leave anything unspoken in front of the audience. So try to remember the thumb rule that I've told you, that you are going to stick to 7 C's of communication to make your ideas become concise and concrete, and you can be able to present them in front of the audience in the maximum way. But think about the audience and your knowledge about them. What do they want to know? So the thumb rule for this is that how you can make, or how you can make your presentations brief is that to make sure that what audiences want to know about on your topic of presentation. So try to see that. For that you are supposed to do the need analysis first. So quickly mingle with people and quickly talk to people that how much do they know already. So focus on those slides less rather than what do they don't know, and focus on those slides more. What would they benefit from knowing? So this is your main target of your presentation. You are going to tell that what and how they are going to benefit from your presentation. Are there parts of the subjects that really more than they need to know for you get to the point you across? So are there any other points to get them across the situation, or get them aware with the situation? Try to answer all these questions and then try to work on your verbal communication messages, so that you are able to convey every passionate thought or every innermost knowledge of yours towards your audiences. Now the fourth thing and the last thing of today's lecture is that own the room. Now the whole venue is yours, the whole room is yours. You are the host and all the audiences are guests. If possible, it is always good to see the room where your presentation will take place. So in addition to that, you should try to arrive early. Try to make sure that you visit your room where you are supposed to present before your presentation is going to take place, before that. There are a number of things that can disturb you in the first couple of minutes of your presentation. So there are a few things that can disturb you once you begin your presentation, and they can also affect your verbal as well as your non-verbal behavior. So length or the size of the room matters. How big is the room? Where are the chairs placed? So if you prepare for only 25 number of group of people, and there is a huge auditorium where only 25 people are sitting, then how are you going to cope with the situation? That's a very big room. You are supposed to visit your room before you actually start presenting in front of the audience, because if that's a very big room and there is a limited number of people sitting there, that might confuse you. So you are going to see that how you are going to own your room. Welcome them by telling them that this is a very big room for you, but we are going to see that how to adjust in it accordingly. Is there a stage? Then you are going to also see that if you are going to stand on the stage and deliver your presentation, do you need a microphone? If that's a very big auditorium, do you need a microphone for yourself, or you are loud enough to be heard by everyone? Will that be placed? Who will flip the slides in your presentation, or you would have to do it on your own? Can you do that yourself? If so, how? While standing on the rostrum, or while using making use of these remote controls in your presentations? If you need special equipment, where they will be placed? So if you need anything special other than the only multimedia and the laptop, where will the material be placed? Will there be spotlights and so on? So these are a few things which you are supposed to remember once you go watch your room before you actually present on the stage. Find out as much as you can beforehand, so have the control. So as to have a proper control on your verbal and non-verbal communication, try to visit everything beforehand. If you are a part of a larger program, it is very good to sit in the other presentations. This will be beneficial for you for two reasons. You will get a better feeling for the audience. Are they open, serious and emotional? So you will have this opportunity of knowing the audience, that what kind of the audience they are, and you will get a better feeling for the room, and that room will become familiar to you, and you would be very comfortable while delivering your presentation in front of the audience. So with that, we are about to end our lecture. Today we have discussed some of the tips to improve your verbal communication skills, how you can work on your words, the collection of words, how you can gather as much information as you can to be inserted in your presentation, then how you can make use of 7 C's of communication by revolving around concreteness, clarity, completeness, courtesy, and so on and so forth. And then we are to work on the effective verbal communication, in which how you can make your verbal communication effective for your audiences. So with that, I'll show you the list of references from where the material was being downloaded. I wish you a very good luck to become one good expert presenter of future. And with that, I say you goodbye. Take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.